Brazil has registered its highest number of femicides since it began recording them. Official police statistics compiled by the country's Ministry of Justice show 1,470 femicides last year. That's roughly 4 women killed every day. It is an unwelcome headline for a country with tough laws and sentences against domestic violence. Well, to talk about this, Jan Onoszko, our correspondent in Rio de Janeiro, is with me live on the programme now. Jan, look, good to speak to you about this story. Give us a sense then of why the numbers do appear to be so shockingly high.
Well, it's a question really that's puzzling authorities here in Brazil, especially given that femicide is increasing while overall murder rates have gone down by more than 5%. One of the reasons may be that more murders are now being classified as femicide. The crime is defined as a woman being murdered just for being a woman, and it was only recognized officially as a crime here in Brazil in 2015, since when the numbers have increased year on year. However, experts say that it's also because of an increase in violence against women generally. A survey carried out nationally last year found that 40% of Brazilian women had suffered some form of violence at the hands of an intimate partner at some stage in their life. Not only that, but physical aggression, beatings, threats, stalking, all those manifestations of violence have gone up since 2017 when this survey started. And last year, 1 in 4 Brazilian women suffered some form of physical violence. Well, we've been talking to people in Rio, and both women and men recognise that Brazil does have a problem with violence against women.
Men here are very macho. Very, very macho. And I think Brazil has one single problem, and that's education. That's Brazil's only problem.
It's really awful. And with violence reaching these levels, how far will it go? Will it affect a friend, a neighbor, a colleague, or a patient? Or just someone passing by on the street? It's become an everyday occurrence. And if you think these news stories that are on TV every day are normal, without fighting against them, it just becomes part of everyday life. Oh, another one.
Brazil is a very large country, and we are a conservative country, quite conservative. I think there's an issue that needs to be raised in relation to Brazilian conservatism and its relationship to machismo. And then there's education. We need to go into schools and explain what the role of men is in the 21st century, which is no longer the same as it was in the 17th century.
Many women are wary of men. For example, when a man offers to help, we automatically think, no, I'm not going to accept. What if he does something to me? Because unfortunately, this is something that happens very frequently in Brazil.
And Jan, look, what do we know about where these killings are happening and who the perpetrators usually are?
Well, femicide is closely linked to domestic violence, and it's usually the culmination of a pattern of violence, abuse and threats against the victims. It means that the majority of the victims, almost 2/3 of them, are killed in their own homes. Besides that, almost 2/3 of them are black, and in 80% of the cases they are killed by an intimate partner or a former intimate partner. Now, the most shocking of the cases make the headlines here in Brazil, like that of Tainara Souza Santos, a 31-year-old mother of 2 who was knocked down and dragged along the street by an ex-lover in Sao Paulo in November. She spent 4 weeks in intensive care undergoing surgery, but sadly she died on Christmas Eve. But unlike Tainara, there are just so many other cases that we never even hear about. The reason being that the vast majority of Brazilian women will not report violence against them to the police.
And look, Jan, just tell us what it is the Brazilian government is trying to do now to reduce these numbers and to tackle violence against women.
Well, there are 2 strategies. The first is punishment, and just over a year ago, the government increased the sentence for femicide from a 12 to 30-year prison sentence to a 20 to 40-year prison sentence. But the other strategy is prevention, and in 2024 they launched an action plan to combat femicide worth around 400 million euros. The idea is that actions will be coordinated across government departments to respond to women in need more quickly. But experts say that women desperately need more specialised police stations. They also need more safe spaces, more refuges as well. However, there's a huge problem in tackling femicide here in Brazil, and that is awareness. Most of the women who are likely to become victims just are not aware of the services available to them. And even when they are aware, they're too afraid to use them. They're too afraid of retaliation if they're found out.
All right, Jan Onoszko for us there, reporting live from Brazil. We're talking about that staggering statistic that roughly 4 women are killed in Brazil every day. Jan, thank you.